School District's business, not to be considered a public community meeting, Finneytown Local School District Policy 0165.1. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, you may be seated. Item number 2, opening ceremony. Do I have a volunteer to read the mission statement?
I'll read it.
All right.
Our mission is to foster a community of learning and belonging. Our vision is to be a learning community centered on strengths and possibilities to empower our students and staff to think critically, grow intellectually, and live with integrity.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. Item number 3, additions to and approval to the agenda. May I have a motion, please?
I'll move. I'll second.
Okay. Do we have any additions to the agenda?
Yeah, I wanted to see if we could add a brief executive session, which would take no more than 5 minutes at the beginning of the meeting.
All right. So you'll have to
The
have
purpose of
two
the
people
executive
out
session would be in order, in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G1, in order to consider the employment and compensation of public employees.
I'll second that.
All right. Will we need a roll call vote, Dave?
Because we're doing as part of this process right here, we don't need a motion second. We're just changing the agenda.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Will that
All
be
those
item-
I'm sorry.
Would that be the first item, item 4? Is that what we're putting in?
Yes, it needs to be before anything takes place. At least that's what I would like.
Okay. All those in favor of amending the agenda and going into executive session, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. All right, we are going to be in executive session.
All right, go down the hall and we'll be back in just a moment.
Sorry, everybody.
yeah, we
For
will
the
need
item
to
now,
do.
and then a
we
roll
will
call
need
vote?
To do that.
Okay, so we're not in executive.
And I think it'll just be the board. Or do we have to go into executive?
We have to do a motion second and then a roll call vote.
All right.
So we have to motion a second to go into executive session.
Yeah, so this is now a new item on the agenda. Item 4.
Okay. I'll move to go into executive session.
I'll second.
All right, so we're moving this to item number 4. Item number 4, executive session. Do I have a motion?
I motioned.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call vote, please, Dave.
Mr. Plow,
No.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Ms. McMullen,
No.
Ms. Lee.
Yes.
All right, we are in executive session. done with executive session, moving back into the agenda. It is, you have the time, Dave?
Yeah.
All right. Item number 5, approval of the from the special meeting of March 3rd, 2025, and the special meeting of March 13th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay. Does anybody have any additions they'd like to add or any discrepancies? Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes as they read, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Okay, the motion passes. Moving on to item number 5, administrative report. Larry Dix.
All right, so I'll share some data in just a minute, but I did just want to start. We will be offering summer school this summer, not at the secondary campus due to the construction. It will take place either here or at Finneytown Elementary. That will take place June 27th. More to come on that. Also launched last week the second edition, if it's not out today, it should be out tomorrow, of Why Finneytown, a series of videos from our community, our students, and our staff about why they choose Finneytown and what they love about it. So check that out, Instagram, Facebook, and link to our website. Cinderella, if you had an opportunity, I went yesterday. Our students and our staff did a fantastic job. I usually go to the Sunday performance, and that's the most crowded I've ever seen a Sunday performance. It was awesome. We have a lot of talented young students, and just a shout out to Zach Young and Ariel McCoy. We also had some elementary participate, so thank you to Julia Crepage and Jay Long, and I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other people who contributed that I'm missing out, but it was awesome. This week coming up, we have the Wild Welcome on Friday. If you know any students who are looking, or families who are looking to enroll their children in kindergarten or new to the school district next week or next year, Friday we would welcome them to come. We're going to give tours of the elementary. We'll have our support organizations represented to make those early connections. And then on Thursday, we have our second session of Building Connections, and that is also for our future kindergarten families. That is an opportunity where we bring them in, talk to them about what it looks like to be ready for kindergarten, different strategies, whether it's self-help skills, literacy skills, how to really promote those, and build that initial connection with the school district. There is more information on that on our social media. If you have questions, reach out, let me know. And then I did want to, I know the request was made, and it's something we're going to talk about in terms of our to-do list at the end of last meeting, but in terms of live streaming, I did meet with Grant, and we discussed the feasibility of continuing to do that for regular and special board meetings. Given our current setup and what we've been able to do in this boardroom, it is a different, we have more capacity than when we did at secondary meeting center. So we could accommodate this, and we can get additional people trained. So if Grant has a conflict, we'll be able to have other people to do that. So I just want, it's feasible if the board chooses.
So do we have any other discussion? Do we need to add it on for the special meeting, or is that?
I think we probably just will need to discuss it later, but
I figured, okay.
thank you.
In terms of other things going on, we hosted our spring sports kickoff on March 4th. That was very well attended, got to celebrate our student athletes. We are continuing to work with Hamilton County ESC and Austin on legislation, speaking out to our legislators during budget bill right now. That is not current in its current state. It's not set to fully fund the school formula with the current cost sets. So we're working with them on advocating for that, as well as some of the other things coming down the pike from our legislators. So just wanted to share that. And then I had 2 questions, so I wanted to share this information with the community. One question was regarding withdrawals. And when our students, because our mobility rate's pretty high, and so when students leave us, where are they going? And so I wanted to share a little bit of that with all of you. So this is just enrollment trend data. So as you can see, and this is as of a March pool date for the data, so this is a March snapshot of each of those 3 years. And we don't have our mobility rate for this year, but as you can see, our enrollment is pretty steady, if not increasing slightly. The number in parentheses is the number of our students who attend the Oaks. And so we currently this year have 75 of our students and juniors and seniors attending the Oaks for programming. The mobility rate comes into play because the amount of kids who are moving in and out of the district is something that can be challenging. This is the last 3 years of data. FY25 is our current school year, so it's not complete data because we're only in March. But these are the grade levels and how many kids withdrew from each of those grade levels during those fiscal years. And so what you can see is, or at least what I see, is it's kind of random. There's not one thing that really sticks out. A lot of times we think that our transition from 8th to 9th grade, we have a lot of students that transition out, but I don't really see those numbers as significantly higher than other grade levels. And so then the question becomes, where are the students withdrawing? Where are they going? Oh, well, let's do time of year. So most of our withdrawals, in best case scenario, happen over the summer. So we moved, we're going to a different school, that kind of situation. We also have a lot of mobility during the school year when kids are moving in and out. And so this is just to kind of show the trend in the number of kids that are withdrawing in any given year. Now today we had 4 kids enrolled. So it just kind of depends. Like I said, our enrollment stays pretty flat right now. And so when kids are moving out, we have new kids coming in. All right, so we do have to report, while we don't have comprehensive data from our students who withdraw, we do have to report to the state a withdrawal reason through EMIS. And so we pulled that. And I think one of the things particularly that we've had questions about when our kids leave us, where are they going? The vast majority are going to other public schools. We lose this year 5.45% to private school. We have seen an uptick in the number of families choosing to homeschool. 3-5 families. But so this kind of tells us where they're going when they leave us. Questions about that? Okay. All right, then I had the question about what about our state test scores so far this school year? And so the KRA is done at the beginning of the school year. This just assesses our kindergartners or where they are at when they enter into kindergarten. So these are the past 2 years. And as you can see, we expect our kids to be, it's not abnormal to have a high percentage of emerging or approaching readiness because they're just entering the school system. And if they didn't have a preschool experience or other early learning experiences, they might be in a different place. KRA. This is our fall reading diagnostic assessment. This is done as part of our 3rd grade reading guarantee test requirements. This is given, we use Acadience, and this is given to all students. I think the cutoff for the testing is September 30th, within those first several weeks of school. Again, this is where they start at the beginning of the year, but as you can see, the blue indicates on track. And so for our kindergartners, on track, we had just over 70%. 1st grade, we were split down the middle. 2nd grade, slightly above. And then 3rd grade, as you can see, on track. Right now, we only have 43.9, or at the beginning of the year, we had 43.9%. And so that gives our teachers an idea of where our students are at and where we're working from, and then to grow them. And so we do have the mid-year data. I wasn't able to get that all together today, but I'll share that with the board as soon as I have that. Because we take this measure 3 times a year.
So this data alone wouldn't be enough to draw any necessarily conclusions. It's just a little snapshot at the beginning of the school year. Okay.
So we did fall Ohio State testing for third grade. There's a fall one we give, I believe it's October. And we had 55% of our students were limited. They are taking an end of the year test at the beginning of the year. So this is not surprising that they're where they are. And so, but it gives us one more measure to use to see where our kids are at to prepare them for that third grade test that up until this year didn't mean a conversation about retention or not retaining. So it is important. Basic 25%, proficient 12, accomplished in advanced 8. The only fall test we give by semester at the secondary campus is government. And so that took place in December. And this is the results of the 31 students who were tested and how they scored. The other thing we need to remember, we have a lot of makeup tests. I did not include that data because those are students who, it's like 1 or 2 for different subject areas. If the board's interested in that information, I can pull that and share that. We do our Ohio English Language Proficiency Screener. This just lets us know where our students who English is a second language for, where they're at in terms of their English skills. And then those are
Awesome.
the quiz. And I think you have a hard copy in your binder. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Lauren. That was so helpful.
Thank you.
Anything else
That
you
was
need to
great.
add, or
That's all I
is
got.
that it? Okay. We will move right into item number 6, public address. Just have a few things I need to read off. All right. The board believes it is the best interest and the best interest of the students of the district to hear comments from members of the public. It has been therefore a long-standing practice of the board to encourage and allow residents to speak at a public meeting. This may be done by completing the bottom portion of this form and giving it to the board president prior to the board meeting. The following guidelines ensure that anyone interested in addressing the board may do so and that the board conducts the business of the school district in an effective and efficient manner. Number 1, attendees must register their intent to participate in the public participation portion of the meeting upon their arrival at the meeting by completing this form and returning it to the board president or presiding officer. Number 2, each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Number 3, for the public record, each speaker addressing the board must state their name, address, and group affiliation, if and when appropriate. Any material or handouts must be presented to the treasurer for record. 4, the naming of individuals, profanity, abusive languages, and speeches that invade individual privacies are tolerated or permitted. Number 5, the board will take no action regarding matters or issues presented through public address and the meeting in which the public address was made. All necessary follow-ups will be made verbally or in writing at a later date. All right. And I am actually going to address the board. Set the timer for 5 minutes, Seth, if you can. Take that. All right, my name is Jalecia McMullen. I reside at 684 Raynard Avenue, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45231. I'm a parent with 3 children attending Finningtown schools. I've lived in the community for 14 years, and if I'm being honest, it's been one of the best things that's happened to me and my family. We've met so many wonderful families that I feel honored to do life with. However, the recent policy change has me worried significantly. I worry about the impact this will have on our district. Education is one of the most challenging professions to be in right now. Many educators and administrators are walking away from education because of the challenges our world is facing. This is one of the most consistent and stable that our district has been in a while. By reducing staff, I'm concerned about the projects that are ahead. Who will do all of the work that is being done by this administrator? This will create more work for the remaining staff, which will lead to more stress, exhaustion, and burnout. The board just hired a new treasurer, which I appreciate. But the way this board is behaving and taking authority from the superintendent worries me that the district will be in the search for a new superintendent if the board keeps treating her and her administration like they have the past few years. We have a secondary campus that will begin to be put into fruition this spring. Continuity is more important than ever to give our children the new buildings they deserve and they've waited so long for. There are so many people with power that are using this to their advantage to manipulate the system in our world today. Please don't let Finneytown become a school that has no compassion for the leaders passionately serving in our community. The decisions being made are sabotaging the climate and culture of Finneytown. Last year, the culture and climate position was dissolved, which was disappointing. This particular board has spent numerous time finding ways to make an inclusive school district environment, and is making our administration not feel valued. Now I can see why the position was eliminated. The board no longer feels that inclusive climate is necessary, which is upsetting considering this board has drafted numerous surveys, created a board committee around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and strives to create a school environment of learning belonging. Should the same rules apply to our staff? I can only imagine how hard it is to show up to a workplace where you feel threatened every day, that your position is at stake because the Board of Education has decided upon themselves to decide which positions are valuable and which ones will be dissolved. This year, the Director of Personnel and Systems Design position is being considered for elimination as well. This is an issue for me as a mother. I feel for the leader in this position, and I feel that he is being discriminated against. There seems to be a pattern each year for the same person who serves in this same position. Being a mother is one of the best things that I've ever earned the privilege of serving. If my child were being treated this way, I would want someone to stand up for my child the way that I am today. I ask that you remove yourself from the role for a few moments. Remove yourself and take a moment to reflect on how this will impact our students, who should be the center of this discussion. Think of how this will impact our students and the new administration in place if they decide to leave after the way they've been treated. Our children have created great relationships under the care of our staff. Relationships they've developed trust and appreciation for. Something the board knows nothing about considering we don't work in those buildings each day. Lastly, James 3:18, peacemakers who sow and reap. I'm sorry, I'm going to read that again. James 3:18, peacemakers who sow in peace, reap and harvest righteousness. Thank you. Mike Hamill, you can come on up.
Hi, I'm Michael Hamill at 8532 Brent Drive, just not too far from you. I get a camera angle because I don't really care to be called out as a community at large. I have a name. I've been in front of the board many times for many years. And starting 10 years ago, I've been in front of this, not you guys, but the boards, trying to emphasize the need for a change in the phonics systems, a change in the math systems, a change in teaching systems here because of what was going on that I saw. We saw what was going on, we saw what happened. We removed our girls from this school for educational purposes, for bullying purposes, and things that are still going on today. And apparently there's something going on that we're privy to, that I think as a taxpayer, be privy to some of this background information, or maybe it's just me that I don't have kids in the school, that we don't know what exactly is going on behind the scenes. But I am a taxpayer here. We are, as we voted you people in, you all on the board, to control our funds, to control our monies, to let us know that we can trust you with our funds. The teachers and administrative here, I hate to say it, are under our control. They are our employees. That's the long and the short of it. I mean, no disrespect disrespect or anything like that. They have great teachers here, they have great administrators here. But if you guys see a problem with the funds that are being used, then it's up to you, because we voted you into that position to take care of that problem. I had a problem a few years ago with CRT, race theory, which turned into DEI, which is a communist doctrine, and there's no getting around it. It's here in this school. It's been called out. I've seen the slides, I've seen the programs, I've read, and the unfortunate part of it, I always thought Finneytown was kind of this little quiet suburb that wasn't under the bully pulpit of Facebook. I guess I was wrong. There were a couple of us on the last Facebook post that we were singled out and labeled as treasonous or haters or conspiracy theorists or whatever you want to call us. But that's why I want everybody to see my face, to know my name, because I do have a name, and I'm willing to stay on the board that's willing to take control of what is happening in the school district with our funds. And whoever, and I know who the person was, that said maybe the school and people need to find out from those of us that did pull our children out of the school why we did it. What was the basis for doing it? We all have very sound bases. It was a tough decision. A lot of long nights, blood, sweat, tears, decisions, questions, comments, and I don't regret it. The only thing I regret is what is happening to this district. I see it falling apart. I see a lot of infighting going on, and it's very sad. So it would be nice to find out who and why people are pulling their kids out of school, what the problems are. DEI doesn't belong here. Bully pulpit, as far as Facebook goes, identifying people for what the decisions they are is against the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. Maybe those people need to go travel and live in those countries and see what their kind of freedom really is, and come back here and see what it is that we have and get off the bully pulpit. There were other things that I wanted to say, and I'm really sorry to put up in this format, but we've got to change. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. All right, Matt Brinus. I hope I
You did.
You did.
All right.
Yeah, so I'm Matt Brinus, 922 Misty Stream Drive here in town. I've been teaching for 27 years, and I'm here to address Eddie. So you and I thank you for coming to my classroom. We had a conversation, you and I, and it was delightful. It was awesome. And I think you learned, and I learned, a little bit about what life is like after you were in my classroom. You were in my classroom, and you were a great student, but you saw how my classroom ran. Restorative, vulnerability, empathy, intention, academics. You experienced some wonderful friendships, collaboration. So I learned all that from Eric. I learned a lot, if not everything that I did from Eric. And you all want to take away him. So I feel like that is, to me, an injustice. I feel like personally attacked by that. You had Eric as a teacher, and you liked him. You learned from him. You thought he was restorative. You felt like he had an impact on your life. And we want to remove him. Our district needs some work. Of course it does. Removing restorative practice, and you learned a lot. And you are an educator. You're the only one up here that's an educator. You know how it goes, especially with the kids at our school, because you've been with them. And we even shared some stories about some of those kids that needed a chance. We gave it to them. You have a daughter coming into our district. And
Inappropriate.
claiming my time. And so, a daughter coming into our district. And I feel she needs all the opportunities restored. Claiming my time again.
We
And so,
participation, please.
I feel that the restorative practice is the right practice. It teaches our kids everything that would make our district better. Because that's how I taught, and I've been here, and you know my track record. My question is, are you being manipulated? Are you being manipulated for a position that we're not sure is going to cause financial ruin to this district? What I do feel is that further discussions, sure. Is this not personal? Not with you, but with others that don't understand the restorative practice value. Because it's a house of cards. And if you remove Eric's position, the house of cards, not my opinion, based on observation and modeling scientifically, I think that is going to happen. Thank you.
So much for sharing that, Matt. All right, Laura Walker.
I'll continue the trend by going to this side of the room. My name is Laura Walker. I live at 6479 Partridge Way in Mason, Ohio. I've been the district library media specialist here for the past 18 years. And before I get to the main reason for my address, I just want to touch on a response that I got to my letter, which expressed concerns about being fiscally responsible. And I just want to encourage the board members to talk to Mr. Oliverio. He does not feel like the district is in dire financial straits, and he would certainly know because he's kept Finneytown in the black for many, many years, all the years that I've been here. And so if you still want to, if after talking to Mr. Oliverio, you still want to save money as a district, I encourage all of you to seek input before cutting valuable staff positions. Ask any of us here tonight about Apex, for example. In fact, ask if you are indeed supportive of teachers, please initiate conversations with a wide variety of staff. I personally would be happy to talk to you about my experiences. So the main reason that I'm here tonight is to express my wholehearted support for Eric Muchmore, who's the first casualty of Policy 1540. I urge you to reconsider terminating Eric Muchmore's position. He's an invaluable team member and a visionary leader who consistently encourages others to think outside the box, which is a rare skill, believe me. Over the past 18 years, I've had the privilege of working alongside Eric and have witnessed his growth, both as an educator and as a leader. When I first came to Finneytown, Eric was in his first full year of teaching. Eric and I grew into our jobs together. We worked together collaboratively on class projects, had great conversations about grading practices, using rubrics, and ELA teaching practices in general. Eric became the head of the ELA department after only a few years, and his main goal was to align ELA teaching and grading practices while increasing student literacy. We served together on a few district-wide committees, including an ELA committee dedicated to K-12 curriculum alignment. In 2016, Eric and a few other teachers got together to brainstorm how to improve school spirit and staff morale. The result was the creation of our house system, which started out as a copy of Moeller's house system, but quickly grew into something unique to Finneytown. Eric was tapped to be the house director for the following school year, and I was tapped to be the Clark House Dean instead of Charlie Crowley when he became assistant principal halfway through the summer of 2017. Working with Eric on the house system during the 2017-18 school year was nothing short of exhilarating, and I'm not exaggerating. It was a ton of work, but his big ideas kept us all excited and driven to make our school and our students the best they could possibly be. Those of us who were house deans look back on that year fondly, in spite of how crazy it was, because we felt like we were making a vast difference in improving the culture on the Finneytown Secondary Campus. It's evident to me now, after 7 years of the house system and the implementation of restorative practices, which, by the way, ties in beautifully with the goals of the house system, that we have accomplished our goals of building relationships inside and outside of the classroom. The amount of students that now greet me warmly and kindly in the halls, asking about my day, asking if they can assist when I'm carrying things or loaded bags of books, would have been unthinkable in 2016. I don't pretend to know that what Eric does in the day-to-day existence of his job at the board office. In fact, people would say the same about me and many others who, because we're in a small district, are the only ones that do the jobs we do. I do know without a doubt that Eric and the rest of the district leadership team work incredibly hard day in and day out to make Finneytown a better place for its staff, students, and community. I know that they all believe in the power of working as a team and that we are all better when we work collaboratively and can generate ideas together rather than our own silos. I know that whenever I need anything, Eric is best to help make it happen. I know that whenever I work with Eric on a committee or a special project, his insightful questions and sometimes wild ideas push all of us to be outside-the-box thinkers and to problem solve creatively. I would not still be at Finneytown if it weren't for Eric Mitchmore. In 2016, I was feeling the effects of low morale and negative culture on the secondary campus. He convinced me to stay and be the change I want to see, instead of taking a job offer at another school. I was deeply touched by his belief in me and in Finneytown, and I've never looked back. Eric is someone who keeps a sharp focus on future possibilities, never stuck in the past or thwarted by protests of we can't.
30
or
seconds.
We've always done things this way. He's been instrumental in guiding the district toward becoming a more equitable community that celebrates our diversity and shares our unique stories with the world. His leadership, vision, and unwavering dedication have made a lasting difference in the Finneytown community. The loss would be immediate and would have long-lasting negative consequences for the overall direction of Finneytown Middle School.
Got it. 6 seconds to spare. All right, Mr. Bidet.
All right, I live at 7956 Sagamore Drive in Amberley. That's 45236. There you go. Dear members of the Board of Education, my name is Thomas Bidet. I am in my 11th year of teaching. This is my 8th year at Finneytown Secondary Campus. I am the most veteran ELA teacher and the co-chair of the ELA department on secondary campus. I have reached out to the board in affirmation of Eric Muchmore and detailed the specific ways he has impacted my classroom, my students, and my ability to deliver a quality educational experience. I appreciate the responses I received, and I know that others here will cover a lot of what I said on the subject. Today, I'd like to speak to you, the board, about your distinct responsibility to act in the best interest of the district, as I have heard said many times. Can be seen as a responsibility to safeguard good education. That definitely includes a rigorous financial stewardship. Thank you, Dave, for your years of service. No one will doubt that that is part of what you must protect. Yet safeguarding good education is not only about financial decisions, because education is not a strictly financial matter. The heart of all teaching is relationships. Developing relationships between the known and the unknown, relationships between subject areas, relationships between students and teachers, relationships between individuals and the community to which they belong. Everyone has a part to play in these relationships and the values, culture, and social setting they create. The greatest asset in the pursuit of good relationships and thus good education is in the people. This truly is the wealth of our district. The work of responsibly educating our young people requires constant collaboration, self-reflection, adaptability, creativity, deep wells of empathy and patience, and a passion for seeing others empowered. For anyone working in education, whether that is a teacher, administrators, or you board members, to ignore relationships is to vacate your responsibility. We must engage in our community in a way that reflects the same things we ask of our students. We must be inclusive. We must be inquisitive. We must collaborate and be comprehensive and respectful in our relationships. Your current path to remove Eric Muchmore indicates that you do not understand the cost of ignoring relationships, the values they enshrine, and the community that they build. As a nation, we are in an era of hostility towards education unlike any in living memory. We will see systematic and intentional attacks on public education from the state and federal level. Your current path is going to remove an irreplaceable resource in that fight. You propose to remove someone who has been at the center of relationship building in this community, someone who has dedicated nearly 20 years of their expertise and efforts towards enhancing our relationships with each other. Someone who knows our values, knows our students, knows our families, knows our teachers, knows our struggles, and chooses to work to improve them all. This is an invaluable asset. that this is a purely financial decision, you have missed an opportunity to safeguard good education. And I am here to invite you back into that relationship. I want to see you recommit to your role as leaders of a very diverse group of teachers and students and act on behalf of the entire community. You are not alone in this. You have access to experienced expert educators to help you understand what is happening in our classrooms.
56.
You have the voices of students who want your attention so that they might tell you what they need. I invite you to take your time, to be patient like the teachers that you must protect, to be curious like the students that you need to safeguard, and be reflective on your own power. Your choices can set the tone for good education in this community. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Boudet. If Charlie Crawley could walk forward.
So, my name is Charlie Crawley. I've been a teacher here at Finneytown since 2000, so this is like year number 25, so I've been through a lot of boards and a lot of superintendents and all kinds of teachers and things, so I just have a few words here I want to say. 4135 Hammond Boulevard, Hamilton, 45015. Okay, dear members of the Board of Education, Superintendent and Treasurer, I would like to express my full support for Eric much more to continue as a member of the Finneytown District Administration team. I have known and worked with Eric for 18 years, and I can confidently say that no one has been more committed to Finneytown, what we are trying to accomplish than Eric has been and continues to be. We will suffer as a school district if we were to lose Eric. I've been on staff at Finneytown since 2007 before, and I've seen a lot of staff members, administrators, board members arrive and depart. Eric started his career at Finneytown as an English teacher, and as I got to know him, I could see his passion and commitment to his students and our school. It does not surprise me that he is still a colleague 18 years later. He chose to stay in our district as he advanced his career from teaching to students, to assistant principal, to district office. I'm sure he's had opportunities to move elsewhere, but he chose to stay committed to Finneytown. His commitment is also exemplified by his decision to bring his own son to the district, which demonstrates his confidence in the direction that our district is going. As I look at Eric's career at Finneytown, I marvel at how many of our programs and how many of our district core values that he has helped begin and develop. At the secondary campus, Eric was one of the founding members of the house system. It was his experience at Moeller and then his out-of-the-box thinking that led us to believe that we could create our own version of the house system. Due to his passion and drive, the house system has impacted hundreds of students and staff over the last 7 years. I also worked with Eric on developing a current program called the Youth Advisory Council that has provided leadership opportunities for a large number of our students. Eric has been involved in developing our restorative practices and PBL programs that have become part of the fabric of the secondary campus. This year, I was on a staff committee that began thinking of a new way to set up our school calendar and discuss ways that we could enhance the daily student experience. Once again, Eric was a leader of this group and hosted open discussions with staff on how we can improve what we are currently doing in our district. With all these programs, Eric has operated as our dreamer and visionary, always thinking of ways to give our students and staff an experience that goes beyond the classroom content. And thinking back about my time as a student, and I'm guessing everybody is in this room time as a student, the moments that you remember most fondly occurred outside the basic classroom routine. I think our current student feels the same way, and I believe that Eric has had a significant impact on many of the events and situations that our students will remember for the rest of their lives. We absolutely do not want to lose who Eric is and what he does for our district. Finneytown will suffer without Eric's ability to dream big and then organize practical ideas by having these dreams. Thank you for your time and consideration and listen to my comments. As I end them, I will give you a story that I think exemplifies what Eric means to our district. Earlier this year, he sent me a text asking if he'd come to my classroom during my planned bell to talk. He arrived in my room excited to share his idea of Wildcat Wellness Week, which nobody knew what the heck that was except him, and proposed playing a varsity basketball game during the school day. We would invite all of our students and many of Deer Park students to the game. It would be an occasion which many of our students and Deer Park students would remember moving forward. He asked me to brainstorm with him some ideas for a pep rally we could do the day before the game. All I could think was, what school was okay with having a basketball game during the school day and inviting students all the way from 7th to 12th graders to the game? Then I realized that maybe only Finneytown would do this. This was Eric at his core, a dreamer who would take the necessary steps to make his dream a reality and in so doing would impact hundreds of students and staff for the better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crowley. Shiro? What? Hi, Shiro. Welcome.
Hi guys, I'm Suraj. I am in 10th grade. I go to Finneytown Secondary Campus. And I'm here to defend my best friend, Mr. Munkmore. He has done a lot for Finneytown, and especially since the Finneytown versus Deer Park game, where he's the one who started all of it, and especially since he helps others with like photography. This is my first year doing photography, and I've learned a lot because of Mr. Munkmore. And I feel like if you get rid of him, then a lot of things will change. It will affect a lot of students and teachers, because you know they're friends and everything. So, I think like I'm just here to defend him. I don't want him to fire him because every time I see him in the hallways, he's always happy, smiling, just happy to be in Finneytown. I've been in Finneytown for technically almost my whole entire life now, and Finneytown has like just helped me a lot with just learning English, because English is not my main language. And I feel like just people here just helped me a lot. But I feel like Mr. Mushmore has helped me with just understanding how cameras work, and every time I see him, I'm just happy to see him. I feel like I'm just glad to see that he's still smiling and everything, and he's such a good friend of mine. And like, it's just sad to see one of my best friends leave the school, especially since we have made a big bond with each other. That's all I gotta say.
Well, thank you. Very brave of you. Melissa Hawkins, on behalf of Julie Fickey.
Hi, good evening. I'm Melissa Hawkins. I live at 1599 Krylon Drive in Reading. I'm reading a letter written by Julie Fickey, who couldn't be here tonight. Dear members of the Finneytown Board of Education, my name is Julie Fickey. I'm a resident of Finneytown and have lived here since I was 2 years old. I attended Finneytown schools K through 12, graduated class of 1990, and returned to Finneytown to teach the visual arts in 1997. My husband is a Finneytown alum, and we have raised our 2 children here. Our daughter graduated last year, and our son is a sophomore. I'm writing to express my strong support for Eric Muchmore and to advocate for the retention of his position within our school district. I firmly believe that maintaining Eric's role is a strategic investment in the success and stability of our district. Eric Muchmore has demonstrated unwavering dedication to our district, contributing 19 years of service. Eric started his career in education at Finneytown as a secondary campus building sub in 2006. The following year, he was hired as a full-time English teacher and taught for the next 8 years. From 2016 to 18, Eric left the classroom to assist administration as the Dean of Students. From 2018 to 21, Eric served as assistant principal on the secondary campus, and from 2021 to the present, has been part of our district-level board office team. I say team because that is what they are. They may have different roles and titles, but ultimately they work together in a collaborative approach, making decisions to positively impact our schools, staff, and students. Eric has always been known amongst the staff as a big-picture person. He looks at situations with a wide lens and often voices a unique perspective. Eric's approach is very collaborative, and you feel heard when you work with him. I admire that about him, and it is one of the qualities that makes him a great leader. Eric has also proven to be a visionary for our district. He was one of the original staff members to visit Yellow Springs High School to learn about project-based learning, a program the district is now embracing, but may have never learned about it if it weren't for Eric's curiosity. Another example of Eric's ability to innovate came 8 years ago, when morale was poor on the secondary campus and the staff recognized that we needed something to positively impact our school culture. It was Eric who learned about the house system at Moeller and brought the idea to our staff. The impact it had on their school and was hopeful that it could do the same for ours. He spoke at a few meetings, invited staff to go with him to Moeller to see for themselves and to have the opportunity to ask questions. Then ultimately we voted as a staff to make the change. Yet another program Eric discovered and brought to our district, which has positively impacted our district as a whole. I've worked directly with Eric on the campus leadership team when he was an administrator at the secondary campus. I currently work with him in my role as house dean and also as a parent when I've attended some of the pro-action cafes with my son. Eric is a troubleshooter and a question generator. He is constantly analyzing what systems are needed or necessary to impact positive change. He shares his ideas and findings, but does not force them upon you, which is another quality that makes him a great leader and a valuable district office team member. Eric's expertise in troubleshooting and innovative thinking supports the district's long-term goals and also demonstrates his invaluable impact on our district. I urge the board to retain Eric Muchmore in his current role. He is an invaluable asset to our district, the district office team, and he has earned his role in leadership throughout 19 years of service. I am opposed to this new policy which allows Finneytown Board of Education to suspend administrative contracts. Terminating a committed and loyal employee who has dedicated their entire professional life to our district and whose child walks our halls simply to save or reallocate money sends the wrong message. It is hard to believe that one person's salary is going to make a significant impact on our district savings account, or is Eric just the first of many? This act is going to create a culture of fear and distrust amongst your staff, especially for those of us who may appear to be, in your eyes, too expensive. We will all be wondering who is next. Thank you for your time and consideration. Julie Hickey.
Thank you, Ms. Hodges, for sharing that on behalf of Julie. Ms. Woodward, you want to?
Right, well, I'm gonna stand over to you. I'm also super nervous because I don't have like 8 9-year-olds. I got a high heart rate warning. So I take some deep breaths. It's not that serious. One second. Oh, I can tell you who I am. I'm Lauren Woodward. I live at 4220 Bell Street in Norman, Ohio, 45212. This is my 9th year teaching 3rd grade with the district. I want to take the opportunity to speak about the recent policy change voted on by the board regarding administrative contracts. Also, I talk super fast. If I am, I'll slow it down. This current administration team is, in my experience, the most open for dialogue and discussion that I've ever encountered. Anything I wanted to talk about, they've made time to hear my concerns. I cannot bring myself to understand why someone would vote no on Mr. Plout's suggestion to push pause for the chance to discuss concerns. It is interesting to me that the people who I see frequently in the school building are the ones who model the type of restorative practices we strive to see in our students. They voted to push pause on such important decisions and had a respectful conversation prior to deciding the future of someone's employment. Others voted no, essentially implying their decisions about policy changes were made prior to the last board meeting. Otherwise, why not be open to a conversation with those who would be impacted by your decision-making process? I'm known as someone who strives to focus on the positives in life. True? Thanks. I'd like to take a moment to share some of the positive programs and changes put in place under the current administration. Restorative practices, responsive classroom training, literacy leadership team, which led to a new elementary reading curriculum rooted in the science prior to the state requirements. Pro-action cafes, open spaces, a new elementary math curriculum, mentor groups, PBL, a new K-6 building, plans for secondary building, and these are just the positive changes I'm aware of. I'm sure there's plenty more. I do understand that people are unhappy about things, and I would never want to discount the experience of my colleagues. I can only share my personal experiences. I've never been told no when asked for help or for discussion about a topic which I'm passionate. This is good because I'm known to detest the word no. At one point, I was venting about not being able to get a concept across to my students, and Ms. Baker was around the staff lounge and heard, me being the person I am, said, well, why don't you come teach my class then? She made time in her schedule to do that very same afternoon. This allowed me time to observe and reflect on her teaching where I can improve mine. It also gave my students the opportunity to build connections with their principal, something which is critical to building relationships with students and respect for their administrations. I've had the same experience with other administrators here at Finneytown. I could share similar stories with you about Mr. Anderson, Ms. Martin, Ms. Dinan, Ms. Banks, Ms. Miller, Ms. Samuel, and Mr. Muchmore. I don't have the time here to do all that, but I'll tell you I'm quick to judge people and I do not hold back when something is done that I don't think or feel is right. I'm not one to shy away from difficult conversations because I believe there's power in respectful discussions. This has led to deeper relationships between myself and our administration. It's something that I wish our board would model as well. When I came to Finneytown, I was happy to encounter staff that felt like family to me. This was a comfort since I had previously taught at a charter school for 8 years and appreciated the closeness and friendships formed with my coworkers. My former school functioned well because we had consistency in our leadership. That's something I hope that I would have here, and until recently that has not been the case. We've had several changes in administration at the elementary and secondary levels. This causes difficulty for staff and students. I do not believe that making sweeping drastic changes to our administration will be beneficial to anyone. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but these opinions should not be used to decide policy changes that affect someone's employment contract. Decisions such as these should be made with evidence-based factual information. If you're unhappy with someone's job performance, discuss it with Lori. She's been open with me as well. As for improvement plans,
Share your thoughts and concerns with her. If you disagree with the outcome of the conversation, vote no when she brings their contract before you. Finally, I'm concerned about our ability to attract and retain quality administrative candidates once people are aware that such a policy exists here at Finneytown, where the position could be abolished at any time. I urge the board to rethink their policy change. If you have concerns about someone's job performance, be open to having a conversation with them. Have respect for people who've devoted their time and energy to this district, some for many, many years. At least give them the chance to engage and dialogue with you. They deserve that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. We have one more public address. Mr. Muchmore.
Much more. 1814 Mentor Avenue, 45212. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I thought long and hard about how to show up tonight. I never imagined I'd be standing up, addressing the board, talking to my colleagues this way. And I thought through my options. I could show up angry, show up defensive, I could show up and argue for my value. And then I figured I would just show up as myself and just be who I've always been. So that's what I'm going to do. 20 years ago, I didn't even know, I grew up in Cincinnati, born and raised. I didn't even know Finneytown existed 20 years ago. And here I am in front of you all, unable to imagine my life without Finneytown. I can't. And after 19 years, I've built a lot of great relationships. I have had a lot of successes with groups of people. I've had a lot of failure. And they've all been awesome. Pretty quickly after I started, I developed this little ritual on the way home, driving home from work at the light at Galbraith and Linton, where I think of 3 great things that happened that day. There's not a single day I drove through that light and wasn't able to identify at least. Sometimes it was hard to bring it down to just 3, even on the most difficult day. And even this past month, which has by far been the hardest in my career, I'm still able to nail 3 things every day that were great at that light. And that's easy because this place is amazing. The people are amazing. The community is amazing. The staff's amazing. The students are amazing. Families. It truly is a special place that I've come to love. And I'd just like to take the moment tonight to thank those groups. So first, the community. I mean, the moment I stepped foot into the MP, my very first time ever at Finneytown, I was greeted so warmly by a group of freshman students on the basketball court that I was coaching and accepted immediately. That was a feeling that took me years to get in my own high school experience. I didn't feel I went to Moeller, I didn't feel comfortable at Moeller until about my junior, senior year. The feeling I got the first moment I was here at Finneytown far surpassed any moment I felt in my own high school experience. And that's because of the kids and the adults I met soon after. The community welcomed my family. My dad in the back here supporting me tonight.
Welcome.
My dad coached basketball here. He's probably been to more Finneytown, even though I coach, he probably has been to more Finneytown games than I have because he's a basketball junkie and continues to watch the Wildcats. The Finneytown community has embraced my own personal family as well, and I've always felt connected and supported throughout. The families of the students, you're amazing. I've spent hours and hours and hours on the phone and in person talking about successes, talking about struggles, and I've always appreciated the families of our students in our community willing to work as partners, even when it was tough. I prided myself on making sure that no matter what the situation was or is, that we can find a way to handle it together. Staff, amazing staff, best staff in the world. As I look out here and see everyone here tonight, it's overwhelming. The support, and I have stories about all of you. That made me happy.
50 seconds.
Oh, my goodness.
50 seconds, I'm sorry. All right.
Just a great group of people. District leadership team. That'll be a separate talk. Just you. You've been amazing. The students, I've learned more from our students than any schooling I've received, any adult interaction I've had. The diversity of our student body and what they've taught me about myself and about themselves that's irreplaceable. That is something I'll take with me wherever I go. Finneytown is at a crossroads right now. The board's at a crossroads. The community seems to be at a crossroads. Our staff. And the question is, what do we want to become as Finneytown Local School District? And how do we want to be together?
Have a finishing statement?
Yes, I do. Thank you. We need to figure it out together. The students are watching us, and they sure are counting on us. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there anyone else that maybe came in late that would like to address the board? Is that everybody?
You had it, but.
Okay. Mr. Saunders, I apologize for that.
My name is Elijah Thurman Sanders, 3183 Golden Avenue, 5226. I'm currently in my 14th year as an educator, the past 7 which I've served at Finneytown Secondary Campus. In that capacity, I've taught every social studies AP class in all 4 subjects. I've also served as RP facilitator, NHS, faculty advisor, Clark Costine, cross-country coach, swim coach. I currently live in Columbia, Tuscaloosa, because I followed the love of my life from my home state of Indiana to Cincinnati. Yet, even with other job offers, my life vocation and passion as a public educator brought me to Finneytown because of the leadership of Dr. Jen Dyden and the opportunity she gave me to use my skills to truly have an impact on our student population and be part of this wonderful and vibrant community. As a new hire, I quickly learned that Eric Muchmore was an essential creator and driver of this mission of purpose on the hardest days. Day in and day out, I always seek to focus on the needs of my students, even above my own. I create an engaging learning environment, which I admit to have failed at many times, yet Finneytown and this board have provided a professional environment where I can take risks, reflect, learn, and as a result, truly become an outstanding educator. I understand the pressures of my administrators, and I do not leave their responsibilities. With their daily struggles in mind, I always have taken personal responsibility to engage my students and their parents whenever issues arise in my classroom. Whenever I assess that I need admin assistance, I will always present the problem and possible solution, trusting our mutual abilities to seek a solution that puts our students first while maintaining a professional learning environment. Not every school is like that, and not every teacher is like me. Throughout all this, I have humbly trusted our district office to handle their duties, which are well above my knowledge and pay grade. Even so, the district leadership has opened their door to me on multiple occasions to hear about successes and challenges I have witnessed and offer genuine praise and potential solutions. I have found that dialogue and relationship to be a rare gift in the world of public education. Today, I turn my attention away from my students and towards the board, not to second. I do not envy your responsibilities, and I truly appreciate the service you provide Finneytown Local School District. My sole intent is to shed light on the essential features of public education that a budget Excel sheet will never reveal. In the world of public education, professionals who give their heart and soul to their school districts and communities should be held at a premium. Eric Muchmore is one of those educators. I have a list of all the things that he has done for this district and the actions or responsibilities he has carried out that no title could possibly reflect. He's simply everywhere and will do anything for this community. He can do it all and try with all his might to achieve our district's missions and goals. But the reality of a teacher and admin shortage in our state, I know for a fact Eric will land on his feet to contribute his outstanding services to another school district. But it will be at our collective expense. The impact Eric has had on students, faculty, and this community cannot be overstated. And the hole his departure will leave in our district will truly bring a chilling effect to an already challenging workplace. Due to the reality of our state's funding structure as well as inflationary economy, nearly every district is facing some sort of financial hardship. If we quantify staff into numbers on an Excel sheet, we risk losing one dedicated professional for 2 teachers that may not make it through the year. Or worse, they may simply clock out, leaving more work for the rest of us who are here for the right reasons, contributing to staff burnout and further worsening our financial situation just 3 years down the road. Fortunately for us, Eric has been essential in developing hiring practices practices that have slowed the revolving door of teachers that once existed here. This district empowers teachers to think critically, grow positively, and live humanely. From his middle school classroom to building administrator to district leadership, as well as a Faintown parent who sends his children here, Eric and his family have engaged in this community and gave his life, career, heart, and soul to this district. He's simply more than a paycheck. After 20 years, it pains me to see a rushed contract termination to be his reward. As a member of the faculty who gives our heart and soul for this community, it is now a fear of my own efforts down the road may be rewarded with termination due to budgetary constraints. I cannot speak to the financial position of this district, but I can confidently state that the termination of Eric Muchmore, as an outstanding educator and leader, bears unforeseen consequences that will negatively affect morale, the heart, and spirit of this community. Thus, I humbly ask the board to consider. Thank you for your service, time, and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Saunders. Thank everybody who shared feedback. Your feedback matters. Thanks for being here. Moving on to item number 7, review of action steps from last month. We only had the live streaming on there, and we are going to have discussion on that at our next meeting, March 31st. There will be discussion on that. Okay. Item number 8, work coordination matters.
I'd like to go first. We'll start with this weekend, as Dr. Banks has said, we had the musical this weekend. It's my favorite musicals. It is. I love Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella. It is my favorite. And it was one of my favorite actual performances of Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella. It was beyond amazing. And if you missed it, you really, really missed out. Congratulations to the group for setting a new record for attendance. They beat out The Sound of Music, from what I am told. And I just want to call out congratulations to Ava, Wyatt, Grady, Claire, and my own personal little raccoon, Charlotte, for their performances. They were some of the lead roles. It's not all the kids, but they were all amazing, but they did wonderful jobs. And then thank you, as Dr. Banks said, Ms. Long, Ms. McCoy, Mr. Young, Ms. Krepich, Mr. Engelman, and all of the parents, the set crew, the volunteers, and everyone who was behind the scenes that made that show happen. It truly was amazing. So just want to call that out. I attended the boosters meeting this month. We are very excited to have boys volleyball. We have 12 to 13 kids signed up for it. It's a pretty big group, full of lots of energy and excitement. Group, so can't wait to see how it goes. We've also seen increases in lots of different enrollments, including across softball and baseball as well. I do want to call out some concerns, and I'm sure you will hear it from other organizations as well. We are in dire need for people, volunteers, especially people to take leadership positions on these sport organizations. If we don't get people who can lead, they will cease to exist. We can't lead without people. And they're just really in need. And we're hoping, I know at least for the boosters, they would love to have more committees so that they have less work, and that costs more people. And the more people you help, the less that you will have to do as one person. So if you know anyone with a passion for sports and would love to help, please reach out to me or Maggie. We'll get you in touch with the boosters. And then the calendar for the board. It has been updated, it looks like, to cover all of our spring dates. We have lots of them coming up in the next month or so. April 3rd is the Pro Action Cafe. April 18th is the movie night for K through 3. An important one that we are invited to as the board, April 21st, there is a celebration breakfast at 8 a.m. And then another one that's important for the board to attend is May 13th, Diamond Oaks Senior Ceremony. This one in particular, I cannot attend. If anyone else is available on the 13th to go, that would be really helpful. The orchestra concert is the 14th of May, Pro Action Cafe again on the 15th. Senior Awards is also May 15th at 7 p.m., and that is also one where we are invited to go. And I think that covers most of the way through until our next meeting. But graduation is June 2nd, so make sure you have that on your calendars. And then I have the senior nights for sports. Track is April 22nd, softball is April 28th, and baseball is May 9th.
What was 20?
Which one?
The 28th?
28th was softball. And then finally, I need to address some concerns I believe are crucial to the health and our board's work. I have been reflecting on the behavior and actions of some of us this year, and I believe it is important to call for a return to professionalism, respect, and collaboration. We are entrusted with the responsibility of making important decisions that affect the lives of students, teachers, and the broader community. To be effective in this role, we must uphold the standards set forth in the OSBA Code of Ethics. Ethical guidelines have been compromised, respecting the confidentiality of privileged information, which at times has not been honored. Recognizing that as individual board members, we do not have the authority to speak or act on behalf of the board, yet some have acted outside this boundary. Expressing personal opinions, that is acceptable and encouraged. But once the board has acted, it is essential to accept the will of the majority, something that has not always been observed. As a board member, we must lead by example. I am making a personal commitment. I will not engage in spreading rumors about my colleagues. I will not condone or support the use of media to publicly attack or dox fellow board members. I will not endanger your families by publicizing private information on them. I will not support the spread of false accusations, such as claims that others have violated sunshine laws. I will refrain from calling board members names, and I will honor the confidentiality of our executive sessions. Further, my husband has requested that I assure you that he is committed to understanding enough about our work so that when he speaks, he can speak professionally and appropriately without harming our board relationships, our relationships with the community, or our relationships with the staff. These are not just words, but actions that I take seriously. We can do better as a team. We owe it to those we serve to work together with mutual respect, professionalism, and a shared commitment to the success of our students. Disagreement is expected on difficult decisions. If you remember, we were taught that this is a sign of effectiveness, but we must do so without hate. Lastly, I would like to request that our board meetings not be scheduled during traditional work hours. With 8 meetings in the past 12 weeks, it has been a real challenge for me to attend every session. I made my availability for the most recent meeting known, and unfortunately, it was Tech Week, I was not available for most of last week. If the meeting had been scheduled after business hours, there's a chance I could have adjusted my schedule to attend. But when meetings are scheduled during my work hours, there's no way for me to participate. My work hours are very well known. We've discussed it several times. So it appears as if this was intentionally done to exclude me from participating. Thank you.
To clear the air with that last little message. To be clear, I text you and I asked you if you had any availability, and I have it here.
You asked me, and I did tell you I was not available. But I could have moved things around or tried.
Listen to me, you shared your side. Listen to me, you shared your side. So what I'm saying to you is I reached out to you as well as the other board members, and I asked, what is your availability to meet with Mr. Muchmore this week? And you told me you had no availability. So then, since I assumed that you had no availability, I thought I would schedule it during a time that Eric requested because you weren't available anyhow. So how did I not ask you that? So let's just be honest. You said you wanted to integrity. Listen, you want honesty and integrity.
Answering.
Yes, please.
You asked,
yes.
How were you supposed to honor that?
Mm-hmm.
Most of our board meetings have been on evenings. Almost all of them. In fact, I think if they're not on evenings, we have to make sure that someone can be there and there's a legitimate reason for it.
I understand that.
There was no possible way for me to go, and I would have been there had I could.
So why did your original message say that you had no availability then? If you had no availability.
I have 3 children.
I know, but so you're upset about a time that you couldn't make regardless. You didn't have any availability.
As I stated,
that doesn't make sense.
Had you
You're being very dishonest.
Had you provided an
You're being very defamation of character.
I could have tried my best and done something to prioritize.
We're going to get back on task. Okay, we're moving on. We are going to move on. Okay, would you like to say that?
Students in the room, guys.
I apologize for that, guys, but I will not have someone nor my integrity being dishonest. That was very dishonest.
That was not.
All right, let's move to board coordination.
Board coordination. Well, I'll go next if that's okay. And I want to, as we talked about the wonderful Cinderella the hard work that everyone did. I do want to say congratulations to everyone involved. I also want to thank Mike and Scott, who are actually sitting in, both are sitting in there, for the hard work. They were able to get a lot of alumni back, which that was the first time we had a lot more alumni to come back. We saw Mr. Schwartzel walk in, Mr. McCollum walk in, even Mr. Moss came. So we had a lot of our past teachers that came back and had a chance to watch. So I want to thank the Finneytown Alumni Network that they put that together. And for those who are in, please grab a card. You do not have to be an alumni to be a member. You can see all the fun stuff that we're doing, and everything that we do will go, that alumni does, will go back to our students in one way or the other through scholarships or through helping the district to grow on facilities and other stuff as well, and helping our educators as well. Also before I forget, if you are interested to seeing some, talking to old Finneytown, old Wildcats, on the 20th, which is Thursday, at 5 p.m., see us at Mattree. So we got that going. And other things that are happening around Finneytown is the PTA, elementary PTA is gearing up for their carnival, which will be the 12th of April. So that's going to be exciting. Also on the 12th of April is a nice little slide-in with the FMPA. The Finneytown Elementary is going to be rocking in the morning. They will be doing the mattress sale, like the third annual mattress sale. So if you need a bed and then you want to get a bed and get some carnival tickets and a bunch of candy, then have at it. That'll be on April 12th, starting the mattress sale, then ending at the PTA Carnival. And then also with the FMPA, sorry, old cat take my bus. If you are hungry on the 4th, on April 5th, it is another Dine to Donate at the Skyline. So if everyone would like to eat, so on the 5th. And the thing is, youth football is coming back to Finneytown. They are the Finneytown Crusaders. They're on their second year. They are actually moved to the Claremont County League with schools like Deer Park and Marywood. So if your children are interested in playing football or cheerleading, please sign up to the Crusaders. I'll end mine with that.
I will go so we can stay in order. Just a few highlights. Scholarship meeting is going to take place at the secondary campus on March 19th. Your attendance is mandatory in order to receive those scholarships. College Credit Plus applications are due on April 1st, so get those in as well. There will be no school on Friday. Spring break starts on March 24th through the 28th. There will be some EOC testing as well, taking place on April 2nd through April 4th. There's going to be sessions between 7:50 to 10:50. So, also a cute little note that I saw: prom is approaching. If you're in need of a prom dress or accessories, the counselors have accessories and dresses that are available for students who are in need, which I thought was incredible. Building Connections will have a new session on March the 20th from 9:30 to 11 and 6 to 7:30, which I know you touched on. Kona Ice will be at FE this week, well, actually on Friday. End of testing ice cream social will be held on the April 25th for grades 3 through 6. Looking for donations, so you can get with your counselors on that. April 14th through May 2nd, there will be a 15-day window for testing at FE. And then lastly, T-ball and coach pitch registrations are open until March 21st. Shifting gears, Laurie and I have continued to meet once a week here and there at some capacity, sometimes more depending on the needs. It's been really exhausting and overwhelming, if I'm being honest. There's been a lot of messages coming through, and it's hit me all of a sudden. So it's just been a lot. I just want to clear the air for that. It's been very exhausting for me, but I feel like I've tried my best to make conversation with everybody and communicate effectively to try and keep the board together, but I'm sorry that some don't feel that way. I'm gonna skip that because we're not supposed to do that. Also, something that we need to have on our radar is Laurie's goals, superintendent goals. So we're gonna need to establish that. We had a goal set for March, so I'd like to stick to that if we can. I know that it's been a little bit busy, and I know things are probably gonna slow down the next couple of weeks, so we can pause on that and kind of revisit that over the next couple of weeks, okay?
I think we have the March 31st meeting, correct?
We have that meeting.
If we need
always. Okay. Also, the board SWOT analysis, I know we did that last year. That went really well. I'd like to also, once again, put that on your radar so we can keep that in the plans as well for this summer. As a reminder, we have our March 31st meeting. We'll have some topics for the resolutions that will need to be passed for the secondary campus, as well as a few other topics. And yeah, I think that's all I had.
Thank you. So most of my board coordination is like discussion-related topics. Jamie, do you want to go ahead?
Go ahead.
I did want to say I did attend the Cinderella show on Saturday. It was awesome as an alumnus of the Finneytown Theater Program to come back. The Alumni Network planned a cocktail hour thing after the show on Saturday. There was a special little time when alumni stood up and sang a song with the cast. That was really, really cool to see. I saw a whole bunch of my friends that came back from my time in school, and they watched the show. And it was great to see my old theater director. Awesome. It'll be put together. Thank you to Mike Steele, Scott Harlemert, for your part in doing that. So the theater program is doing an awesome job, and it's really exciting to see. The other things that I had were sort of board discussion things. One of those things was whether we wanted to have some sort of student exit survey. The reason why I'd asked about that was because previously we've been talking about wanting to increase enrollment, and one of the ways that I thought that we could increase enrollment would be to figure out why people are leaving and then try to address that. Primarily just, okay, how many people
we've had a couple years
ago. So how many people are moving to private or public schools? And what Dr. Banks provided tonight, I think, answers that question for me. So I feel that we're collecting sufficient data, so it was awesome to see all of that data laid out in front of us. As far as staff exit surveys, I wanted to bring that up as a board for a board discussion. So at last school year, my understanding is that someone in the administrative team put together some sort of staff exit survey. It was something that was new that we hadn't done previously, correct? It had like 6 questions that staff members received, I assume via email, after they left the district. And then they could fill out like a Google form, I'm just guessing, and they could submit the response. So I think there were, how many staff that left at the end of the last year? I think it was 8 or 9, and a lot of them left for similar reasons. I found as a board member that it was helpful to be able to read through those staff exit surveys and see why staff were leaving. And then I went back to email, and I realized that there was an email in August, and I guess there was a change that has happened since August towards staff exit interviews. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up for a board discussion is because I was concerned that a shift to exit interviews could lead to less transparent answers from staff that are leaving. And I'm fine if the staff are answering a question and then you were to tell us, yeah, this is actually not the full picture, and I'm sure it's not. But I'd like to be able to see what the staff are saying themselves. And I think that it would be helpful to have a direct staff exit survey like we did last year. So I just wanted to open the floor for any discussion if any other board members had any thoughts. We don't have to decide on this today. But
I agree. I like the thought and the idea of just reflecting on the exit surveys, just to kind of get a bigger glimpse. I know that it's not always credible and factual, but I do appreciate feedback or a place to be able to, voice their concerns or a celebration. So I'm on board with that. Very much on board.
Thanks. If you wanted to share kind of the rationale behind moving to exit interviews.
I think just to dig in deeper and ask questions to get a better understanding of what's being said and to really kind of guide anything that needs to be addressed in a different way. Given the possible shifts in personnel, we wouldn't have anyone to do that anyway, so we can do the survey.
I was going to say we could do both if you felt that it'd be necessary, but
Survey's fine.
Any other discussion on the surveys? Do you have any more of a report?
let me see. So, nope, that is it.
All right. Before I share some reflections on, I'm going to read this statement again. It's not in response to anything anybody said. It was prepared beforehand. Before I share some reflections on the school board, I'm making a request on behalf of the secondary PTA. During last month's PTA meeting, dedicated parents that have participated by serving officers and volunteering, many of them for years, had to have a difficult discussion. If no one steps up into the president and treasurer roles of the secondary PTA, the organization. The secondary PTA has a major impact on Finneytown students' experience. As a couple of examples, the after prom, Wildcat Serve, events like that. PTA participation has been flat to declining for years. I know all parents are busy and often exhausted, but I know from experience that participating in PTA is a tremendous way to positively impact your children's and their peers' public school experiences. So please get involved, either with the PTA or another board-sponsored organization like the Boosters Music Parents Association. Your parents' passion and presence makes a difference. Thank you. So given the past few weeks, time on the school board, and I want to share some thoughts. When I moved and began paying attention to the school board, I found the meetings were boring. In public meetings, I usually saw a lot of consent calendars and unanimous with what appeared to be very little curiosity from members. What made that especially troubling to me was learning that in the past 15 years, Finneytown went from a rating in the top 35% of the state to now in the bottom 10. That statistic is not acceptable to me or to the community members with whom I've spoken. Since 2022, Finneytown has stopped the decline, and I'm hopeful that our district has begun to improve its performance. The positive direction of our performance coincides with the voters electing members that promised change, who asked tough questions of the administration, spent time trying to understand why the district declined so dramatically, and investigate how to improve our deliverables. And I fully understand that correlation and causation not go together always. I, as with other board members, have spent countless hours talking to members of the community, our teachers, administrators, students, and alumni. We've heard what Finneytown means to people and what it used to be. We have ideas about what needs to happen for Finneytown to be the best it can be for our community now and in the future. So, some specifics. The communication policy. Meeting, Dr. Banks read a letter in public from the administrators. One part of that letter alleged that the board's changing the communication policy negatively impacted the administrative team's ability to lead. For those unaware, the previous communications policy forbade staff from speaking to board members, except on occasional social interactions. Instead, all communication had to be filtered through Dr. Banks. The current policy, however, allows staff to freely speak to board members and prohibits any penalty for teachers communicating with or not communicating with board members. Teachers can't bring grievance issues to the board and that kind of thing. They have to go through. But in terms of culture and morale and that, they're allowed to come to us. I mention this because senior members of the administration recently used this very policy to impact a decision on an upcoming vote. I applaud these administrators' change of heart. Allowing staff to have their voices heard, people making decisions that affect their workplace, is exactly why I push to have the communications policy changed. Staff members should feel free without being punished and without their speech being monitored and filtered. Part of the reason I felt so strongly about changing the communication policy was because of hearing that a perception existed that the teachers could not approach Dr. Banks with certain topics. Teachers with whom I spoke said they feared retaliation if they were to raise issues about certain topics and certain members of the administration. I found it very troubling that teachers were not reporting significant issues that may have negatively affected them, and students, because the teachers were afraid of being penalized for doing so. Although the policy has changed, teachers have shared with me that they continue to fear retaliation for reporting issues or employees that senior administration members do not want discussed. This, not the changed policy, is what negatively impacts the ability to lead. For 3 years, I've told Dr. Banks that staff members told me they perceive that there are certain employees who are favored and protected, and about whom the teachers are not comfortable raising issues. I believe that if you're not hearing complaints about certain issues from staff, this is the reason. Instead, these staff members share their frustrations in exit interviews when they finally feel safe to speak out. Board members have received multiple messages from teachers at the secondary campus in support of Mr. Muchmore. Again, we welcome feedback, comments, concerns, and questions. That being said, I found it deeply inappropriate that Mr. Muchmore, accompanied by Dr. Dinan, personally visited teachers to ask for these letters. Some teachers perceive this as coercion, not all. This makes sense. They approached in person by one of the favored employees and the assistant superintendent. In coming days, I plan to investigate whether Dr. Dinan and Mr. Muchmore should receive repercussions for these actions, and if so, what is appropriate. Dr. Banks confirmed that Dr. Dinan was in the same space as Mr. Muchmore when he approached teachers. The value I've placed on all of these letters was diminished. Community. I want the community to know that when you share concerns, thoughts, and feelings with me through emails, text messages, phone calls, social media, participation in PTA meetings, or even in the checkout line at Kroger, I hear and consider what you've said. And I ask you to understand that as board members, we have access to information the general public does not have and we cannot share. I'm glad that people in our community are taking an interest in what this board does. I'm always happy to answer questions as long as answering does not reveal privileged information or violate a policy. I welcome honest feedback and appreciate the opportunity to have a conversation about issues. I do not make any significant board decision without spending hours thinking, researching, and considering various perspectives. I'm willing to make tough decisions that I know will be unpopular if they are in the district's best interest. Every decision I make is what I believe is in the district's best interest. I believe most of the board members also make decisions based on the district's best interest. We just don't always agree on what will serve that interest. That is why there are 5 board members elected by Finneytown voters and majority rules on these decisions. Always operated such that once a board makes a decision, those opposing the decision should stack hands and work to make it successful. I've had to stack hands many times over the past 3 years. Not every board member, however, is willing to stack hands. I put more than 25 hours of work before determining my vote regarding the reduction in force policy. I was in the majority this time. I was appalled when a board member's spouse on a public social media post defamed the 3 board members in the majority by accusing us of violating Ohio law regarding open meetings. Even worse, however, was the spouse exposing our families to security risks by discussing the existence, ages, and whereabouts of our minor children. While the spouse isn't a board member, it certainly made me suspect the spouse's vitriol arose from another member. Any professional group of people cannot work properly when members take professional disagreements personally. Unfortunately, this happens far too frequently on our board. When I disagree with a board member about an issue, I'll still be friendly after a meeting. After all, we all see issues differently and there are bound to be disagreements. Why make the board toxic by taking each disagreement as a personal insult? Personnel. Last week, Dr. Banks sent staff and board members a letter which indicated that she's recommending a net negative 2 teachers in the elementary school next year. If the decrease is not addressed by attrition, I hope Dr. Banks will put as much effort into keeping teachers employed as she has into keeping a single redundant administrator position. This also would allow Dr. Banks to show our teachers support, something I am told is lacking. I also want to address the notion that our changing the reduction in force policy is hurting teacher morale. Teachers, I want you to know that your contracts are not affected by the policy. It's only administrators. Anything involving teacher contracts is governed by state law and a negotiated union contract. I also want to ensure that you know how I feel about the union and all of its members. I fully support our teachers union. In fact, I fully support all labor unions. Before I would even entertain cutting teachers, I would first address administrative bloat, especially when I see our teachers understaffed and overworked. Teachers and assistant principals are essential to educating our students. I've heard that, according to some community members, I'm to blame for retirements that are being announced tonight. Before anyone buys into this, a possible factor. A recent change in teachers' state retirement plans created a 2-year window in which teachers can retire a year early and still receive full benefits. I cannot speak for anyone retiring, but this might play significantly in their decisions. Legal advice. Next, Dr. Banks, the board sent the board last week that included, and I use the term loosely, legal advice. The email threatened that due to a case pending before the Supreme Court of Ohio, any administrative reduction in force may require the district to hire back administrators with back pay. Going forward, Dr. Banks, any legal advice you provide to the board should come from our attorney. After reviewing the case myself and with attorney friends, I've learned that your information was at best misleading. And roles. Finally, I want to address the role of the board president. In February, the board president stated that a policy decision was not the board's role. First, I disagree with her. The board is a policy-making group. Our job is to make policy, which the administration is to implement. Second, I implore the board president to understand the role. The president of the board is not the boss of the other 4 members. The president has no authority to make unilateral decisions for the rest of the board, especially when the board has already voted on an issue and went the other direction. The board president's vote is the same as every other member. It is one of 5. The board president does not have the authority to control the direction of our discussions or interrupt other board members during meetings, even if the president wants to hear what others have to say. By becoming president, the board member simply agrees to accept organizational responsibilities for the group. Last year, our board seemed to function at a more respectful level. I hope we can return to our board functioning in an effective manner, showing respect for the member's opinion, stacking hands when the board reaches a decision, not launching personal attacks on members or encouraging others to do so, avoid accusing other board members of being unethical or violating laws, agree to never discuss board members' family members, especially not board members' minor children on a public forum. We all signed up to do a job, and it is perfectly okay to disagree on how we meet our shared goals. Finally, if anyone in the community has a desire to accept a job that, if done well, is usually thankless, candidates for school board must have their petitions to the Board of Elections no later than August 6th. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Jamie.
Can I ask a quick question? So before as part of item 12, is there room for discussion in item 12, or is that's just a is there room for discussion there, or would discussion need to occur now?
We would discuss it after seconding it.
So there could be room for discussion
Yes,
or
there-
something
there
over
will be.
there. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
That's where it should happen.
That's what I thought.
Moving on to item number 9, financial matters. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Okay. And Mr. Olivero, if you could walk me through this. There's Bill. I want to do this other way.
No, I said it's item 13.
Okay, motion and second was,
Motion and second.
okay, the first item is the monthly financial report. Total revenues in the month of February in the general fund were $5,148,448. Fiscal year-to-date revenues, $17,713,101. Expenditures in February, $1,417,958. Fiscal year-to-date, $14,331,830. The ending cash balance in the general fund at the end of February, $17,369,535. Depository investment balance as of February 28, 2025. U.S. Bank, $211,565. U.S. Bank Construction Fund, $1,859,202. Star Ohio Construction Fund number 1, $3,075,672. Star Ohio main account, $28,506,901. Star Ohio Construction number 2, $3,245,811. Star Ohio local share, $148,968. And Star Ohio state share, $3,665,409. Item C, interest earned on depository investment accounts for February. General fund interest income was $90,504.47. Construction fund 004, $21,810.18. And the classroom facilities fund 10, $14,007.81. Item D is the monthly bond project spending and commitment report. Referring to that, we've expended $25,839,000 out of the $61,394,000 that are available pretty much includes the Finneytown Elementary. That's just a small amount has been spent on the secondary campus, and of course that will pick up very soon. Item E is a recommendation to approve 2 invoices as listed. And that is all I have for my report. Are there any questions?
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Plow?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Moving on to item number 10, superintendent's recommendations. Have a motion, please.
Motion.
All right, you can walk us through this.
Item A is acknowledgement of resignations. We have 4 retirements listed there. Item B is the approval of a consultant contract for an intervention specialist that serves as SANS. Item C is approval of a contract or supplemental for a coach. Item D are the policies that were first read in February. This is the final reading and adoption. Item E is a resolution. It's a different one than last month after Neola took it and had it reviewed by their attorneys. Their attorneys found that there were errors that were out of alignment with the federal regs, so they made adjustments to the resolution, and it is likely that there will be 1 or 2 more versions coming down, but this puts us in compliance by passing this current version from Neola, and then that'll be submitted to the state.
Okay. Any discussion on those?
For the supplemental contract, can we get an update on the new supplementals?
Yes.
Would it be too much to see comparisons to other districts?
Nope.
Is that in the agreement that we received a copy of already, or did we?
It should be. It's in there. I'll find it. But the comparison's not in there, right?
Nope. I can check.
Any other questions? All right, can we have a roll call? Mr. Oliverio?
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Plow?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Moving on to item number 11, acceptance of resignation. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
I'll second.
All right. This brings us to Dave. Did you have anything you wanted to share, Dave, or anything? Or?
Thank you. 30 years here, I never knew when I set foot that it would be my career. I thank you for the support that I've had, all the boards, all the administration. It's been a great experience, and I'm grateful for it, so thank you.
We appreciate your service, Dave.
Thank
You will
you.
be missed. You contribute so many wonderful years, and we thank you for all you've done. So, all right. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Plow?
No.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes. All right, motion passes.
Nice one, Seth.
Moving on to item number 12, approval of administrative reduction of force. May I have a motion, please?
I'll move. I'll second.
Did you have discussion?
Yeah, so I had something to read, and if you wanted to read something
Go ahead
first.
if you want to go first.
So I would like to share my reasoning behind the support of the elimination of this particular position. To provide some background, in May of 2021, the former board members and our former superintendent created an administrative position, which was then the director of culture, and 4 teaching positions, originally the restorative practices facilitator and 3 co-plan facilitators, in order to kick off restorative practices in our district and staff co-teaching. These 5 positions were paid out of federal ESSER COVID relief funds. 2 years ago, our board had a very public disagreement with our superintendent over a severance clause that appears in each one of our administrative contracts. And this resulted in 3 board members, including myself, voting no on all of our administrators' contracts, something which I deeply regret, that were up for renewal at that meeting. At the same meeting, I shared that I did not think that the Director of Culture and Climate position should exist. Though I did not say so at the time, my reasons were overlapping job responsibilities and eventual exhaustion of ESSER funds. At the next month's meeting, I changed my vote to a yes on all the contracts without any changes except the change in the job title of the Director of Culture and Climate, which was changed to the Director of Personnel and Systems Design. Over the past 4 years, the 4 teaching positions that were created in 2021 are current RP PBL facilitator positions. It's my understanding that the Director of Personnel and Systems Design currently oversees these positions, although previously 2 of the positions were overseen by our Assistant Superintendent. Last year, the source of funds for these salaries of the 4 RP PBL facilitator positions and the Director of Personnel and Systems Design were all moved from ESSER funds to our general fund. This was due to our federal ESSER funds running out. Last month, the board revised Policy 1540, which you've all heard all about, to remove a phrase that required the superintendent's recommendation prior to the suspension of administrative contracts. We took this action to make it possible for the reduction in force action that has been proposed, and we were not able to give full or more details about the reason behind the policy change at that time. I'm sorry if it scared administrators that are in this room. After last month's meeting, a family member of a board member put a picture on a social media platform that included circles around the board members who supported the policy change, a community member who regularly attends our board meetings and expressed support for the board's action. This post included the names of board members who supported the policy change where our children attend or will attend school. This post was misleading, and I consider it a personal attack. To my fellow board members, I know that this post is protected First Amendment speech, but to the extent that it is possible, I would not have allowed my family member to make such a post about you or your children, and I ask that in the future you do your best to prevent this from happening. For those that have speculated that this decision related to the Director of Personnel and Systems Design is somehow politically motivated or related to current happenings in our federal government in the executive branch, I want to assuage your fears and assure you that this decision is entirely unrelated. Board members have expressed reservations about this position long before anyone knew who would be elected president last November, and I know for a fact that a few board members up here consider themselves to be quite progressive and would disagree with a lot of the things that Trump is doing in the federal government, so it's in no way related. Overall, I do feel that changes are needed in order to use our available resources for the maximum benefit of our teachers who are in the classroom each day working with our students, and to show our residents that we are being responsible with their hard-earned tax dollars, especially since we will be coming to our residents for an operating levy within the next few years.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Yep. I'm eliminating the Director of Personnel and Systems Design position for 2 reasons. First, I believe the position is unclearly defined and cumulative to other administrative positions, justifying restructuring the administration. Second, the district's financial health and uncertainty justifies cutting the position to ensure its financial health. Restructuring. Superintendent has changed this role job title twice in 4 years since the original role was created, but these changes did not include any alteration to the job description. Superintendent first changed the job title because of confusion within the community about the role. Superintendent next changed the job title after the board informed her this position would not be renewed. She changed the title to Director of Personnel and Systems Design to obtain the 3 votes necessary for renewal, but did not substantively change the job description. And a recent job evaluation described the role itself as not clearly defined. Most of this position's committee obligations also include the superintendent and assistant superintendent. This gives assurance that the district has 3 people doing the same or similar tasks. Moreover, 2 of the major independent roles have expensive contractors doing a significant amount of work. Very few school districts close to our size have a Director of Personnel and an assistant superintendent. Neither I nor the teachers and community members with whom I have spoken about this position can explain the purpose of the role to the district. And as the superintendent has stated, the job description was not clearly defined. It appears that we don't even know effectively describe the purpose. Instead, we've heard terms like strategic impact without any specifics. And it appears to me that the role is the administrator's assistant. Financial. The role with its current job description was created during COVID pandemic take advantage of ESSER dollars being available and recently was switched to the general fund. The combined salaries of the superintendent, assistant superintendent, and director of personnel cost the district almost $375,000 per year, not including the substantial cost of benefits. It's difficult for me to understand why the district is paying this much money when there is a significant overlap in the positions, as evidenced by the 3 serving on multiple committees and projects together. Additionally, the director of personnel uses contractors for 2 major aspects of the role, costing the district approximately $150,000 a year additional. Our treasurer has told the board that we soon will need to go to the community with the tax levy, and that the earlier we seek a levy, the less we'll need to ask for, therefore increasing the possibility of it passing. He also acknowledged that the sooner we cut our costs, the greater impact those costs will have on the district down the road. I cannot, in good conscience, consider going to the community to ask for their hard-earned tax dollars without attempting to make cuts to the administration first. Members of our community have told me for years the district is too top-heavy and has too many administrators. I firmly agree, and therefore I will vote to suspend the district of personnel position.
I would like to add a couple as well. Number one, absolutely, for everyone in the audience community, we work as a team at district office. There is no meeting that takes place where there's not 2 to 4 to 5 to 6 of us sitting around the table, because there's different perspectives, different lenses, and different gifts that each of our administrator brings. The strength and the beauty of our district is the diversity of thought and bringing that together. Second, I want to make clear I was in no way a part of the process or a conversation about reorganizing, and I serve as the superintendent of the district.
That's not true.
And I was not a part of any conversation regarding the need and the use of a reduction of force for financial reasons. What I was involved with was a personnel committee meeting and a finance committee meeting in December, where we left with the acknowledgement of, one, we were going to come back and look at our finances and make a target for what Dave and I would then work with our admin team, how are we going to hit that target after negotiations were done. In addition, at no time during that conversation was there a reduction in force conversation. In terms of reorganization, we did a new strategic plan last year. In that strategic plan, our current admin team shows up in that. And so there was no conversation about reducing the force and reorganizing. There was no talk about who's picking up job responsibilities, how that's going to shift. So I just want to be clear on my involvement in this, which is none.
So I will clarify my interruption. As president last year, you and I had conversations on this more than once, and I asked we need to come up with other ideas, because I do not believe that the board will support this role when it's up for another contract renewal. We had that conversation more than once last year.
Last year, yes. And then the conversation stopped, and it was never had as a board and as a team.
Okay. But we cannot say that you did not know or were not part of it, because I asked you to bring some ideas or see what other topics or what other ways we can do this, because that was the indication that I was getting from the board.
Which is, I hear what you're saying, Lindsay, but then I had a finance committee meeting and a personnel meeting where this was not brought up, and then all of a sudden the policies changed and it's being voted on tonight. So there was a gap in our conversation, the conversations I had with personnel and finance, which also had representation from the board, to what is actually occurring now.
And I hear that, and I am not on those committees, so I cannot speak to them, but I know I was consistent with that messaging last year. I just wanted to say thank you to all of the stakeholders who have talked to me. Mr. Oliverio, we have talked a few times. We've talked in the executive sessions. You've answered my questions very professionally. Appreciated. Dr. Banks, we talked about this multiple times. Staff, the number of emails we got, the phone calls and in-person conversations and emails from staff and then the community as well. We've had in-person conversations. We've had them in the neighborhood while I'm on walks. We've had them over the phone. I've never had so much input on one decision. And I think that is just a beautiful thing. This is a very emotional situation. There's emotions on both sides. I've heard people hurt on both sides of this, and I know that may be shocking to hear, but it's there. I really want everyone to try to understand that there is reasoning on all sides and that this is a difficult decision to make. But because of the amount of input I've gotten, I am confident that I am making the decision that best represents the community and best represents what is good for our students.
I want to thank the emails that I received. I want to also thank everyone that came in for support of Finneytown. I'm not going to say that whatever I'm going to say is changing any minds at this table. I know that. If anything, I'm asking people who are watching on the YouTubes and the Instagrams and all the other stuff, if you do not like what decision that we are making, or if you like the decision we are making, at the end of the day, we are Finneytown. Get involved. Not just sitting here, and not just sitting here and talking, but get involved with our PTAs, get involved with our FMPAs, our boosters. Get involved by getting upset and pulling the kids, and that's the one that I got upset with. By pulling your kids, that doesn't help Finneytown. You are our community. We are the community. You will see us at the plays. You will see us in the soccer fields and the baseball fields. You will see us around. You'll have a chance to talk to us. And as you get involved, as we get involved, we can turn Finneytown to where it needs to be. But at the end of the day, where your heart is, we are Finneytown. And at the end of the day, we need to remember that.
Any other discussion? Okay, a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Plow?
No.
Mr. Ray? Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
No.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to item 13, approval of contract administrative. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Oh, quick, if there's any discussion, I wanted to state, I was totally okay with all of these administrative contracts all being one agenda item, but I know that there was a board member that wanted to share things, so.
Same way you guys did too, in previous similar situations.
No, well,
You guys
I'm just
have done the
saying, I
same.
would have been okay if they were all one agenda item, there's a motion in a second.
What was the purpose of stating that?
The purpose of stating that is because I don't particularly enjoy going through individual administrative
But
contracts.
we've done it before.
I know, I'm sorry, any board member can request it on an individual
Okay,
agenda, and then it
moving
can
on.
go forward that way, so.
Any more discussion, please?
Yes, on number one, the pickup on pickup rate, is that 5%?
Yes.
So a little over an additional 5% paid towards the retirement contribution, correct?
Right.
Okay, so about 6,000, 6,500 bucks. Okay.
May I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Plow?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item number 15.
I'll motion.
Do you have a motion, please?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Okay.
Second.
I think I second.
Okay, thank you.
May I have a roll call vote?
The pickup on this is 14%, so almost an additional 16% of the salary being paid.
14%.
Well, 14 plus 14 on the 14.
Okay.
It's about 16% additional towards the retirement benefit. Okay, thank you.
May I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Plow?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item number 17, approval of contract administrative. Do I have a motion,
I'll
please?
move.
I'll second.
I think we're on.
This is for agenda item,
Yes, I don't know what number it
is
is.
that 16?
It's now 16, yeah, because we
Yeah, it's,
changed
the
the water.
numbers are.
Yep.
May I have a roll call vote,
Can I have
please?
a motion and second again, I'm sorry.
I'll move.
I'll second.
May I have a
Again,
roll-
14%, so almost 16, so an additional $20,000+ on this one. That's all.
May I have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Plow?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item number 16, approval of contract administrative.
I'll motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
And again, 14%, almost 16% additional to the retirement benefit here.
May I have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Plow?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes. Item number 17, approval of contract administrative. May I have a motion?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
May I have a roll call vote, please?
Again, 5%, a little over 5 additional for retirement.
Mr. Plow?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Item number 19, approval of contract administrative. May I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Again, just over 5% additional to the retirement benefit.
May I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Plow?
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to item number 19, approval of substitute teachers provided by Comprehensive Substitute Solutions. May I have a motion, please?
So moved. No, I'll second.
Any discussion on that? All right. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Reed?
Abstain.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Plow?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Moving on to item number 20, review of action steps. I know that we were going to get the data for, there was something that Lindsay mentioned earlier. Yeah, supplemental data. Any other review of action steps?
The recording of board meetings, you said we'll discuss that on the
March 31st.
on the March
meeting.
31st meeting.
Item number 21, announcements. The next regular meeting of Finneytown Board of Education will take place on Monday, April 21st, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. in the Brent Board Office Meeting Room, 8791 Brent Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45231. Open forum will begin at 6 p.m. May I have a motion for adjournment? Item number 22.
I'll second.
All right. We are